Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. Today we're going to be looking at a World War II film. Now this is actually a Russian language film. There are certain things that are in English basically, but the vast majority of this film is in Russian. So be prepared to watch subtitles. This film is being released on Arrow Video, basically, Arrow Films, on the 16th of May 2016. Now, we've all watched this. Now, you may have seen Steve and Chris on various other kind of videos. Now, Steve is a World War II enthusiast, so I kind of wanted to get his take on this movie, and he'll give us a bit of a rundown about the film.
Hi, so we're going to review the Battle of Sevastopol. Basically, the story revolves around a female sniper, a Russian sniper. But I think I'm pronouncing it right, Lyudmila.
Yeah.
So it's quite. So it's set around obviously Sevastopol and the Battle of Sevastopol, and it's about her, what she goes through during that period, but also her relationship with President Roosevelt's wife. Now, I'll just, I'm not an expert on, I'm interested in World War II, but I'm not an expert on this particular battle. I don't really know that much about it, but I believe, from what I've read, it was Sir Erich von Manstein, German commander, went in 1941, tried to, they wanted to capture the port of Sevastopol because it's quite a key port within the Crimea. They didn't succeed initially, and it basically dragged on. Lots of casualties on both sides, lots of losses, and eventually the Germans started to use siege tactics to try and break Sevastopol, which ultimately did work in, I think, July of 1942. Most of the German battalions that were there, Russian battalions that were there surrendered, and the Germans did take it. However, I think they kind of lost interest, and they started, I think they were following that, they started to look at the oil fields of the Caucasus. I think it was called Operation Blue, or Code Blue was the next thing they looked at. So, sad really, lots of losses on both sides. But back to the film, so it's basically about Lyudmila, the Russian sniper. And so it starts off with a bit about her past and about her relationship with President Roosevelt's wife, and it kind of goes back. There are kind of flashbacks to when she's in combat situations, and then it goes back to when it goes back to 1942 when she's in America. And basically talking about her achievements, because she kills about just over 309 Nazis, basically. Now, I'm not sure, I don't really know much about the history of her particular, of her character, the real life person. I think going on what the DVD says, it is based on a true stories. So again, I'd like to probably do a little bit of research into that. I don't know how realistic it was that she had that close relationship with the president's wife. Might be true. Again, that'd be interesting to find out a little bit more about, which I probably will look at.
I'm not a massive fan of sort of foreign language films, but I thought the action scenes, when it finally kicked in, it did take a while for it to kick in, but I thought the action scenes and the war scenes were very well shot and quite realistic. Overall, it wasn't a bad film, but it's it depends on how true to the life it actually was. But on the whole, it was, out of 10, probably a 6.
For my positives and negatives of this film, start off with the negatives first of all. It is a bit of a slow burn initially. Obviously, you're getting a lot of kind of backstory. I mean, it's character development. I didn't mind it so much, but I do find it is maybe it's a touch kind of slow at times. A couple of other kind of negatives for me some of the English speaking scenes, I didn't feel the acting was particularly strong from some of the English speaking actors. Not so much the president's wife, but other kind of sort of smaller actors. Basically, I felt there were some kind of weaker performances from them. But this film is vastly in Russian, basically. To me, it's difficult to then judge foreign acting, to be honest with you, but it seemed pretty good to me to the rest of it. So just a little bit of the acting here and there. A couple of other bits I kind of want to mention in regards to the negatives. Something that Steve mentioned actually while we were watching it, the soundtrack sometimes is a little bit not fitting. They have a couple of poppy sounding Russian songs in it, which didn't quite fit the... I've probably stolen one of your negatives now. Yes, it doesn't quite fit what's going on screen on occasions. To me as well, the kind of the flash forwards when we kind of see it in when she's talking to the president's wife, they felt a little bit extraneous to me. I didn't feel it needed to kind of have so much time devoted to that. The other thing, for me personally, and again I don't know how much of this is true, but every male character seemed to fall in love with her. And that kind of, it just seemed literally there was like two commanders, there was a pilot, there was a doctor. They all pretty much seemed to fall in love with her. And one of the things that bothered me, this is going to be a bit of a nitpick, is that when we see these commander characters, they only ever really seem to take interest in her as a soldier. What I would have liked to have seen is them being a bit more responsible commanders and kind of dealing with other kind of troops as well, just because it makes it look like they only really give a shit about her and don't really care about any of the other troops, which I found, a little bit, they just seem like they don't care so much about other troops other than this one girl. On the positive sides, I thought the cinematography here was fantastic. There's some beautiful looking shots here, especially where there's a variety of shots where we see a variety of kind of snipers that are kind of like camped out and stuff, and there's some fantastic artistic shots. I thought the battle sequences were all very good. For me, my personal highlight, there's a kind of a dogfight scene on the water, and I thought it was really well done. It looked fantastic. But there are some very kind of brutal battle scenes. I thought the central character as well, whose actress, this name I'm not going to pronounce because it's Russian, but she was very good. And what's interesting about her was I kind of liked, she was kind of a little bit brutal in a way. She was a little bit sadistic. So she's not kind of, a cookie cutter sort of good guy. So at one point we see her pretty much just shoot this German guy and not kill him, but just kind of just shoot his limbs and stuff like to torture him basically. So she's not like just this kind of made out to be this kind of like whiter than white heroic kind of image. It is a little bit of a slow film. I thought it was a very well made film. It is kind of a drama rather than I would say than an action film. I would kind of say it goes on there, but I still liked it. I would probably give this movie a 7 out of 10. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, so overall I enjoyed the film. I thought it was really good. So some of I suppose my gripes, if any, I'm not really into sort of romance films. There wasn't too much in there, but obviously she did sort of fall in love with quite a few of like higher ranking officers, and they seemed to fall in love with her quite quickly. I don't know, as Leo said, I'm not sure how realistic that really was, but obviously, things are always over dramatised in films anyway. So the other thing was, which Leo has mentioned as well, is the soundtrack. It's a little bit Eurovision for me, and I think I wouldn't have had that kind of music in it.
I'll point out that's not all the way through it.
No, it's just twice, I think.
You don't really need songs.
But I think overall, I enjoyed the film. It's good. And, the battle scenes are very good, and it's very gritty. And obviously, her character goes through a hell of a lot emotionally and physically, and obviously, it does take its toll. And the other thing I would like to have seen is a bit more Germans, but I know it's from a Russian perspective, so I guess you see them from a distance, but you don't really sort of see see them up close or see what they're up to so much. But it's from the Russians' perspective, so why would you? So the flight over the port with the Bf 109, the Messerschmitts going over, and that scene where they're bombing the boats and shooting up the ships, that was really good. That was probably my favourite bit, just because I like the German aircraft. But it's very. I did enjoy it, and I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Cool. All right, thanks for watching. Have you seen this movie? It's out on the 16th of May from Arrow Films. If you haven't already got it, go check it out. If you are a war film fan, what do you think? Thanks for watching, and bye for now.